The worst parts were to avoid my children seeing these things. When he came home from work, I would lock them in their bedroom and tell them not to come out because of what they would see. My childhood started out normal. When I was about 6, I noticed that my parents, they weren't getting along anymore. So when they divorced, I was about 6, and we moved in with my grandparents. My mom wasn't around much during that time. She kind of left us to the care of our grandparents. And of course, my father wasn't around. So when I was about 7 is when things kind of shifted in my life at that point in time. My grandparents were the first of my. He shifted and came to see me at night before I would go to sleep. He never really did anything except put my hand where it didn't belong. I decided that I was going to tell my grandmother because my mom was not really around. But my grandmom was kind of having her own issues. She was in and out of institutions most of her life because of mental issues. And when I told her about my grandfather, it kind of set something off in her as well. And during the time when I was playing on the playground, I had broken my arm and it was still in a cast. And when I told her about my grandfather, kind of lost herself and took my cast off and reset my arm because she said that the doctors had done it wrong. That kind of traumatized me to tell anybody anything, because my mom wasn't around and my grandparents were supposed to be my caregivers and I couldn't trust any of them. My mom found us a new apartment and we all moved into there, me, and things kind of shifted again for a short time before my mom introduced somebody else into our lives. He kind of made her happy, but then within a month or so, he started looking at me in ways that were not appropriate. And then he became my next. He started coming into my room when my mom wasn't around and touching me in places that he didn't belong. And again, I was afraid and I didn't tell my mom. I had to do things to have access to being a kid, to go into my friend's house, to go outside. I would have to do favors for him. He threatened to kill my mother several times if I told her, until I got in touch with somebody that was able to help me to get my head on straight. My guidance counselor in high school, she believed everything that I said because of the way that I acted in school. I withdrew because I couldn't study. I was awake all the time. I couldn't sleep at night because I was always afraid if I slept that he would come into the room and I'd have to do things. And she said, look, you're going to fail school, so I will help you get your GED. And after I did that, I ran away. I was 16 when I passed, and then I ran away because I just was too fearful to stay there. At that point in time, I was realizing that what was going on all these years was not acceptable. When I decided I was going to run away, I went across the street to a neighbor's house. She used to go to bars and dance. And she's like, look, come spend some time with me and hang out with me. You can watch my kids, but you don't have to stay there. Come and stay with me. So I did. I took my clothes back to her house and I started a different kind of lifestyle. It was kind of like for me an escape to live and be myself and not have anybody touch me or look at me. That went on for a little while until one night we were at one bar and we had to park far away from the building itself. When we were walking back to our car, and as soon as we got in, somebody got in the back seat. The man that got in the back seat put a knife to my throat and told us to drive. And we did. She drove for hours with the knife at my throat. As we listened to what he was going to do, he had said that he was going to tie us to a tree and then leave us there to die. But something happened, and by the grace of God, that's the only thing I can say, is he asked to stop the car and he jumped out. So we went to the police department, we reported it. He was arrested and put in jail, and he was only in there for a short time. Somebody paid his bail and got him out. I went to another city and just ran away, and I got a job serving pizza and started to work and stay away from my mother and my stepfather and the life that was there. Then I picked up going to the bars because I liked to dance, and found myself in another bar, and I met someone in there. I met this man. He was 8.5 years older than me. And by the time I was 17 years old, I was married, and he became the next. But that marriage I was trapped in until I was 35. That one was the roughest one because of the physical that went on during that 18 years of marriage to him. I had no idea what love felt like to me. So out of fear and being scared, that's how I married him, because I needed someone to take care of me because I was just still a child. Very shortly after, because I didn't know what to look for when I was dating him, and when I met him, he was into drugs and became physical when he used. So then that point I realized, wow, okay, I definitely made a mistake. He would put his hands on me and hit out of anger. When I finally decided that I had had enough, I found out I was pregnant, and the children were born out of forceful contact. I did it because I was afraid. I, was pregnant at that point in time, after that, and had my 2 kids. And at that point I was like, okay, so now I have to stay because I can't just take care of myself. Now I have to take care of 2 kids. And again, I was fearful of telling people because he isolated us. We moved far away from my family, and they did come. We did have parties every so often, but eventually he stopped the parties. And so I had pretty much no contact with my family, which meant that I have no way out. The worst parts were to avoid my children seeing these things. When he came home from work, I would lock them in their bedroom and tell them not to come out because of what they would see. When he went to hit, I would learn to focus on the punches coming so that I could duck from them. And he would hit the wall all the time now because I was learning to avoid getting hit. The last time I was there, he tried to strangle me. I was on the floor. I could feel myself dying my neck, and I was able to break that hold, and I ran. And at that point, never went back. I mean, my kids were there. I had to get a lawyer and figure out how to get my kids out. He never touched them, thank goodness. So I felt I could leave them there for a short bit while I figured out a safe house to go to and things like that. And I started looking for safe houses, places that I could go, started saving money on my own. I knew it would take a while, so I was planning it. But that night of that attack, I did not have enough money. I did not have a safe house lined up, but I had no choice but to leave because of the fear for my life at that point in time. Because called the police, I probably would have been dead. I was 35 when I finally got out of the house at that point in time. I did not find a safe house. No one would take me and my kids, but I did find a friend who she sheltered me and hid me from him. That was the last time I went to that house. I went there to take care of my children when he was not home. The restraining order required him to go to work at a certain time and to come home at a certain time. And on the in-betweens, I was allowed to go there and take care of my kids. And when he was coming home, I left until I got the proper housing. Within about 6 to 8 month time period, I had sheltering for them and moved them out completely. And that was the day of our final freedom. I was scared to death because, again, I was 35 and I'm like, how do you do this? But my friend was gracious and she taught me a lot of things, and I secured a job and was able to get a house, and that changed me in so many ways that I had no idea what I was up against as time went on, because it creates a fear. When I went into a house, I had to turn on all the lights and open all the closets because needed to make sure that there was nobody there. I realized that I never knew how to communicate properly either. That was something I had to learn as an adult because I was always shut up. And then I finally went to counseling because I needed help with that guidance to break that cycle, to choose better men and learn how to take care of myself, learn that I am enough, that I am a good person, that my opinion matters. All of those things had to be relearned. I want to be able to speak for the ones that can't speak themselves so that they can pick up this book and resonate with some of my experiences. In the book, there's a whole lot more details than what we've discussed here. But the most important thing is the book is going to hit up the avenues of healing, that even though they may have lived through what I lived through, they don't have to stop there. And I want them to be able to regain their confidence, their ability to live and not think that they have to remain in the symptoms of their circumstance. They can break free from all of those things. That's why the book is being written. I was very angry for a long time because I had lost 35 years of my life to not having a childhood, not graduating high school, not going to proms, just being a normal kid and then having a normal marriage. I just really wanted that. But I didn't give up on it. After I went to counseling and got the help that I needed, I was about 50, and that's when things started to regain. Like, I was able to graduate. I graduated as a chiropractic assistant, as valedictorian of my class. So I finally got to wear the cap and gown and to say the speeches and graduate. And then I went on and I was an EMT, and I got to help other people in that form and became an accomplished photographer. I guess the most important thing I would want to say is that they matter, that it's never your fault. I was told over and over again that you must have done something. My ex-mother-in-law would say all the time, well, your stepfather did what he did to you because you must have done something to make him do that to you. And that's the stigma that comes with it. And it's not their fault, whether they yell at their husband or not, or get into a fight with them because they're doing something that's bothering them. Just because they're arguing doesn't mean he can hit you, that it's not your fault. And you're valuable. Your opinion matters, and you're special because there is someone out there that will love you for who you are. Watch the person and to see who they really are before you start to date them. And you can't fix them. You can't help them. They have to want to help themselves. So don't date somebody just because you think you can fix them, because you can't. Those are all red flags. Stay away.